Hey, mighty companion, this is Earl Purdy, and I want to welcome you to Hardcore Course in Miracles. And we're going to talk about how do you rest in God? How do you rest in love? How do you rest in the Creator? So we're going to be talking about, especially with so much going on, we're going to be talking about how do you rest? How do you rest? How do you relax? How do you let go of your fears and anxieties? So we're going to be talking about how we rest in our Creator, how we rest in love. This is Earl Purdy. Welcome to Facebook Live. And we're going to start out right now with our theme song so that we can get tuned in to what we're going to be doing this evening in Facebook Live here with Earl Purdy. So glad to be here. So glad to be here with you. Here we go. So take a breath. There's a call for God, I see it everywhere. Everybody's running scared, and everything is turning upside down. But the words I hear, they keep coming through from deep inside of me and you. It's telling us that love is who I am. You and me were not that far apart. Yeah, we're bleeding the same heart. We've been together from the start. Tell me, can you hear it? Tell me, can you feel it? Put your arms around it and know that we are one. Yeah, yeah, we are one. Now let's come together and understand that Christ was born inside of every man. He's waiting for us to choose him as ourselves. When you choose him, you know you choose me too. And everyone becomes a part of you. And then you will know that love is who I am. You and me were not that far apart. Yeah, we're beating the same heart. We've been together from the start. Tell me, can you hear it? Tell me, can you feel it? Put your arms around it and know that we are one. Yeah, yeah, we are one. Oh, we are one. Welcome to Hardcore Course in Miracles. This is Earl Purdy, and we're going to be talking about how do we rest now? How do we have peace and joy and let go of this anxiety and worry? We're going to be doing workbook lesson 109. I rest in God. I rest in the Creator. I rest in love. Page 197 in the Course in Miracles workbook in A Course in Miracles. It's a beautiful section. You and me were not that far apart. Yeah, we're beating the same heart. We've been together from the start. Tell me, can you hear it? Tell me, can you feel it? Put your arms around it. Know that we are one. Oh, we are one. Yeah, yeah, we are one. Oh, we are one. I am you, and you are me. Lord have mercy. I love that. I love that. I love that. It's so good to be with you. Welcome to A Course in Miracles Hardcore. This is Earl Purdy, and we're going to be on lesson 109 in the Course in Miracles workbook, page 197 in the Foundation for Inner Peace version of A Course in Miracles. It's one of my favorite lessons. It's called I Rest in God. I rest in love. I rest in truth. I rest in freedom. I rest in abundance. I rest in God. I rest in all that is. Would you like to rest? Would you like to let go of any type of anxiety or worry or guilt or anger? Wouldn't you like to be free of every concern? Wouldn't you just like to rest? I know I would. So this is purely for our relaxation and our pleasure. Turn off the analytical mind and let God save your behind. Turn off the part that thinks it has to understand everything, as if your understanding is such a powerful contribution to the truth. And let the love of the divine and that which created you allow yourself to have just 1 hour that you allow yourself to just receive. I rest in God. Now, you know what the guidelines are. The guidelines to the Course in Miracles are, remember only this: you need not believe the ideas. You need not accept the ideas. You need not even welcome the ideas. You need not even welcome the ideas. Some of the ideas, you may actively resist some of the ideas. Some of the ideas you will find hard to believe. Some of the ideas may seem to be quite startling. You are not being asked to judge and analyze the ideas at all. Their use will give the ideas meaning to you and will show you that the ideas are true. Using the ideas in the Course in Miracles will give the ideas meaning to you and will show you that the ideas are true. And the Course in Miracles says, no matter what your reaction no matter what your reaction to the ideas in A Course in Miracles, no matter what reaction that you have to the ideas of A Course in A Course in Miracles, the Course in Miracles says, use the ideas no matter what your reaction to the ideas may be. Use the ideas. If you don't like the idea, still use the idea. If you have anger, resistance to the idea, use the idea. If you don't understand the ideas, still use the ideas. It's because the use of the ideas will give the ideas meaning to you and will show you that the ideas are true. In the 40 plus years that I've been teaching and learning A Course in Miracles, and the last 30 plus years I have been doing the Course in Miracles full time in the world. And I'm telling you, don't make the Course in Miracles hard. What makes the Course in Miracles hard is trying to analyze and figure the ideas out. What makes the Course in Miracles work is when you remember what it's saying and you use the interpretations that the Course in Miracles is giving you, whether you believe it or not. That's very important. So we're going to do I Rest in God. And I want you to just relax and let yourself hear this, because it is so beautiful. Let love talk to you. Let God talk to you through me. Let Spirit talk to you. And we're going to take 1 minute to just repeat the idea. I rest in God. Even if you feel any kind of reaction to the word God, no matter what your reaction to the ideas may be, use the ideas. Now, my hardcore Course in Miracles presentation is especially geared toward Course in Miracles students. So hopefully I'm talking primarily to people who have already decided that they want to learn, practice, and use A Course in Miracles, because that's what I'm assuming. I'm happy to have anybody listen to the presentation who want to, but I'm especially focusing this on people who are Course in Miracles students who want to master A Course in Miracles and who want to take advantage of my 40 plus years of teaching and studying it. So you want to use the ideas. The Course in Miracles says everything is an idea. And the more who share an idea, the stronger it becomes. So when you share an idea, the idea becomes strong. And everything comes from ideas. Our ideas manifest. So the ideas that you'd like to see manifest are the ideas that you need to share, you need to think about, you need to say. So the Course in Miracles says God is love. God is love. God is the creator. God is the universe. God is all that is. These are all Course in Miracles definitions of God. So let's do it. Let's do it. Are you ready? Here we go. I rest in God. I rest in God. I rest in God. You 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 rest in God. You rest in God. You rest in God. What does that mean? You rest in love. I rest in love. You rest in love. I rest in love. What about us? We rest in God. We rest in God. We rest in God. We rest in God. They rest in God. Let's say it for everyone else. They rest in God. They rest in God. They rest in God. We ask for rest today. So what is it that we're going to ask for today? What are we going to ask for? We're going to ask for rest. If you want to rest, ask for it. The Course in Miracles constantly says, ask and you shall receive. So ask for rest today. What is rest? What is rest? What is real rest? Real rest is quietness, unshaken by the world's appearances. If you really are resting in the Creator, if you're really resting in God, you have a quietness, you have a peace that cannot be shaken by the appearances of what's going on in the world. We ask for peace and stillness. In the midst of all the turmoil, what are we asking for? We are asking for peace. We are asking for stillness. In the midst of all the turmoil, born of clashing dreams, we ask for safety and we ask for happiness. I ask for safety and I ask for happiness. Do it right now. I ask for safety and I ask for happiness. Do that for yourself right now. Say, I ask for safety and for happiness. I ask for safety and for happiness. I ask for safety and for happiness. Even though we seem to look on danger, even though we seem to be looking at stuff that's dangerous and hearing about things that are dangerous and seeing things that appear to be dangerous, we ask for safety and we ask for happiness. Although we seem to look on danger, we ask for safety and we ask for happiness. Regardless of what you think about what's going on in the world right now, regardless of what's challenging you right now, do what A Course in Miracles is asking you to do. Say, I ask for safety. I ask for happiness. And we have the thought. Now notice that the Course in Miracles says, and we have the thought that will answer our asking with what we request. So the Course in Miracles is about to give us the thought that will answer our request. Notice it didn't focus on some external situation. Notice it didn't give you advice about what outside of yourself needs to change. It said, we have the answer. We have the thought. We have the thought that will answer. We have the thought that will answer our asking with what we request. I rest in God. I rest in God. I rest in God. I rest in God. This thought will bring you the rest and quiet and peace and stillness and safety and happiness that you seek. That seems like a tall order. It says, I rest in God. This thought will bring to you the rest and quiet, the peace and stillness and the safety and the happiness you seek. Notice it didn't say trying to get everybody else to act out your script, trying to get everybody else to be the way you want them to be, trying to get everything and everyone to change so that you will be happy. Did not say that that was the thought. The Course in Miracles says, the thought that will bring you rest, quiet, peace, stillness, safety, and happiness is I rest in God. And be honest with yourself. How many times today have you said, I rest in God? And how many times today have you thought about all the things that need to change, the circumstances that need to change, and all the people that need to change in some kind of way, including the world, in order for you to be happy? Have you really honestly, like the Course in Miracles says, have you said, I rest in God? It says, I rest in God. This thought has the power to wake the sleeping truth in you. I rest in God. So why do you want to say this thought? Because this thought, I rest in God, the Course in Miracles says, the thought, I rest in God, has the power to wake up the truth that's sleeping in you. Because once the truth is awakened in you, then you will have vision. When the truth wakes up in you, you will have vision. And what happens when you have vision? You will be able to see beyond the appearances of what's going on. See, when you have vision, when you can really see, when your spiritual self has been awakened, then you see beyond the fear. You see beyond the turmoil. You see beyond the sickness. You see beyond the separation and the fear. The Course in Miracles says, vision sees beyond appearances to that same truth in everyone and everything there is. So when the truth wakes up in me, then I will be able to see the truth in you. So when the love and the truth wakes up in you, then you will be able to see the love and the truth and the peace in others and in everything. That's quite the statement. It says right here, I rest in God. This thought, I rest in God. This thought has the power to wake the sleeping truth in you, whose vision sees beyond appearances to that same truth where? In everyone and everything there is. So if you want to see the love and the truth in everyone and everything there is, then as much as possible, repeating to yourself, I rest in God, will awaken the truth that's in you, and it will also allow you to see past appearances, to see past everybody else's ego, and see the truth also in them. And you will see the truth in everything. That's a heck of a statement. So now when the truth wakes up in you, and then you can see the truth in everyone else, here is the end of suffering. So what is it that really ends suffering? What really ends suffering is for the truth to wake up inside of you, for the divine to wake up inside of you, for the love to wake up inside of you. And then you will be able to see past the personalities and appearances of what's going on in the world and in other people around you. And that will end the suffering for all the world. Now, don't try to understand how you waking up to the truth is going to end suffering for all the world. Don't focus in on that. What you want to focus in on is to repeat as much as possible to strengthen the idea, I rest in God. You want to stay focused on what A Course in Miracles is telling you to do, rather than trying to figure it all out. I'm giving you advice after 40 years of teaching and learning this. I'm telling you, your understanding is not what makes the Course in Miracles work. What makes the Course in Miracles work is when you remember what it tells you and you do what it tells you and you think what it tells you. And I love how it says, check this out. The Course in Miracles says, here is the end of suffering for all the world and everyone who ever came and yet will come to linger for a while. The Course in Miracles says we're just lingering for a while in the world. We're just kind of lingering for a while. When you say, I rest in God, do you know that this is the thought in which the child of God is born again to recognize himself? When I rest in God, I rest in love. That's the thought that would allow you to be born again. Now, when the Course in Miracles says born again, it means you have come to recognize who you really are again. Being born again means recognizing yourself again. And the Course in Miracles says, well, what you are is spirit. What you are is love. So being born again means to recognize yourself again as the child of love, as the child of God. So the next paragraph, how does the next paragraph start? It says, I rest in God. I rest in God. I rest in God. Another thing, what you want to do when you're studying A Course in Miracles, if you're a Course in Miracles student, it might be tough to do this, but just for a little while, try to let go of your wisdom, what you think of as your wisdom, and for a minute go, you know what, I'm just going to do what I'm told. I'm going to do what I'm told for a minute. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to strengthen the idea, I rest in God. I rest in love. And so you're going to say that thought right now, right? You're going to go, I rest in God. So what's the advantage of doing that? Well, completely undismayed, this thought, what thought? I rest in God. What will that thought do? I rest in God will carry you. Notice A Course in Miracles says, this thought will carry you. This thought, I rest in God, will carry you through storms and strife. This thought, I rest in God, will carry you through storms and strife. This thought, I rest in God, will carry you past misery and pain. This thought, I rest in God, will carry you past loss and death. So the Course in Miracles is telling you exactly what's going to happen as you begin to accept these thoughts as true. So if you go through storms and strife, if you go past misery and pain, if you go past loss and death, where do you go? Well, it says you go onward to the certainty of God. So the certainty of God, the certainty of God, the certainty of love, the certainty of God, the certainty of love is on the other side of your strife and misery and pain and belief in loss and the belief in death. Listen to what I'm saying. Listen to what the Course in Miracles is saying. Remember, the first step in changing your mind is hearing an idea and then repeating the idea over and over again. If you cannot remember the Course in Miracles, you have not learned the Course in Miracles. If you can't remember it, you haven't learned it. If you can't close the book and then specifically tell yourself what you just heard or what you just read, then you have not learned what it's saying. The reason why you can drive a car is because you remember how to drive a car. If you forgot how to drive a car, then if you got in the car, you couldn't drive it. So to say that you've learned A Course in Miracles, but you cannot remember in detail specifically anything that the Course in Miracles says, then you haven't learned A Course in Miracles. So you can't expect yourself to get the results of something that you haven't learned. So what do I mean by that? Well, if I remember this, I go, okay, I need to tell myself right now, I rest in God, because that's going to take me through storms and strife and past misery and pain, and it's going to take me past loss and death. I need to remember that if I was to tell myself I rest in God, and focus on the idea that I rest in God, and share the idea that I rest in God, and remember the idea that I rest in God, the Course in Miracles says what? There is no suffering the thought I rest in God cannot heal. That's quite a claim. There's no suffering, no matter what kind of suffering it is, that the thought I rest in God cannot heal. There is no suffering the thought I rest in love cannot heal. So the first part of changing your mind is you have to hear the new idea. You have to hear the different idea. And then you have to repeat the new idea over and over again, whether you believe it or not. So don't let your not believing this stop you from using it. Because if you already believed it, you wouldn't have any suffering, no pain, and no upset about anything. So don't get upset with yourself because you can't already do what you're learning how to do. That doesn't make any sense. If I already knew how to have complete peace no matter what, there would be no need for me to do A Course in Miracles. So don't crucify yourself because you are not at the point right now that you can feel all of the peace and joy yet that A Course in Miracles is promising you. You're doing the first stage, which is letting yourself hear it. But you want to tell yourself there's no suffering. There's no suffering. There's no suffering that the thought I rest in God can't heal. There is no problem. There is no problem that it can't heal. There's no problem it cannot solve. There is no problem that the thought I rest in God cannot solve. There is no appearance, but will turn to truth before the eyes of you who rest in God. So when you rest in God, how will you know it? You will know when you rest in God, because no appearance but will turn to truth before your eyes when you rest in truth, when you rest in love. Another word for God is truth. Truth is God, and God is truth. Truth is God, and God is truth. God is love. God is the creator. So there is no appearance that will not turn to truth before the eyes of you who rest in God. When you rest in love, no appearance but will turn to truth before the eyes of you who rest in God. This is the day of peace. What is it? This is the day of peace. What did the chorus say? This is the day of peace. What did it say? This is the day of peace. You rest in God. Notice the repetition. That's why I call myself the divine repetition teacher, because it's more important that you remember what A Course in Miracles is saying and say it than anything else. You want to strengthen an idea by sharing it, remembering it. That's how an idea becomes strong. So if you were to tell yourself what the Course in Miracles tells you to tell yourself, that would be doing A Course in Miracles. This is the day of peace. You rest in God. This is the day of peace. You rest in God. And while the world is torn by winds of hate, your rest remains completely undisturbed. Your rest remains completely undisturbed. What a beautiful thought. What a beautiful sentence. My rest remains completely undisturbed. While the world is torn by winds of hate, you rest in God. See, if thoughts are creative and what you believe and what you think becomes your experience, becomes your reality, which is the basic law of metaphysics, then you need to give yourself ideas and thoughts and share ideas and thoughts that you want to see manifest. The Course in Miracles is telling us, well, what could be better than saying to yourself, this is the day of peace. You rest in God. And while the world is torn by winds of hate, your rest remains completely undisturbed. Yours is the rest of truth. See, you can only truly rest when you rest in God, when you rest in your Creator, when you let go and surrender and allow yourself to be helped by your Creator. The Course in Miracles says that it is a curriculum that is teaching you how to let yourself be helped by God. That the Course in Miracles is teaching you how to let yourself be helped. It's not a teaching that's trying to put you more in charge. It's not a teaching that's trying to put you in charge. It's a teaching that's trying to teach you how to let go of the blocks to the awareness of love, so that you can let your Creator help you. And this is what you do. Yours is the rest of truth. And what happens when you rest in truth? Well, then, when you rest in truth, appearances cannot intrude on you. When you rest in truth, you don't let appearances shake your peace. You call to all to join you in your rest. So we call to everyone to join us in our rest. Notice, what am I doing? I am doing exactly what I'm being told to do. I'm not questioning it. I'm not analyzing it. I'm not letting the appearances of what's going on in my life right now stop me from doing this. I'm just doing what I'm told. I'm going to be bold and do what I'm told, so the love and peace can unfold. When you do what you're told, the peace and love can unfold when you do what you're told. You call to all to join you in your rest, and they will hear and come to you, because you rest in God. You've got to be the voice for love. You have to be the voice for truth. They will not hear another voice than yours. So what do? You call to all to join you in your rest, and all will hear and come to you. All will hear and come to you. Why? Because you rest in God. Others will not hear another voice than yours. Why is it that people will not hear another voice than yours? Well, people won't hear another voice than yours because you gave your voice to God. You see, right now I'm giving my voice to God. I am using my voice to say to you what love wants me to say to you, what the Creator wants me to say to you. I'm allowing the Creator to use my body to deliver this message to you. I want you to know, mighty companions, I appreciate you more than words can say. Being able to do this and share this with you and know that there are those of you out there that resonate with me and you feel safe with me, and as a teacher of God, a teacher of love, you honor me. You honor me. You honor you. I honor you. I'm so glad for those. I'm glad that you allow me to be. I put it this way. I'm so happy that you allowed the Holy Spirit, the higher power, to be your teacher through me. Through me. So I just want to take a minute to express my gratitude to you. I'm so glad I'm not the only one that's weird. I'm so glad that I'm not the only one that wants to go a new way, another way, and to go the loving way. And sometimes you have to just let yourself hear the truth because it's so beautiful. Others will not hear another voice than yours because you gave your voice to God. You've given your voice to God. That means that you have given your voice to love. You've given your voice to God. And since you've given your voice to God, now you rest in God. So how do you rest in God? How do you rest in God? You let God speak through you. That's the same as saying, I'm going to let the Course in Miracles teachings speak through me. I'm letting love speak through me. I'm talking to you in a loving way. I'm sharing with you in a loving way. So let God speak through you means let love speak through you and let the truth speak through you. So how are you going to let love speak through you? How are you going to let God speak through you? Well, you, as a Course in Miracles student, you would remember and memorize what this is saying, and you would allow your body to be used like I'm letting my body be used to share what's already here. I don't have to think about what to say to you. What to say to you is right here in front of me in A Course in Miracles. I don't have to analyze this. I just need to say this. Say what? I rest in God. You rest in God. So in God, what do you have? Well, the Course in Miracles says, in God you have no cares. In God you have no concerns. In God you have no burdens. In God you have no anxiety. In God you have no pain. In God you have no fear of future, and you have no past regrets. So how can you tell when you see yourself as being sustained by God? How can you tell when you really do believe that you are connected and not separate from your Creator? Well, here's the test. When you are resting in God, when you are resting in your Creator, you don't have any cares. You don't have any concerns. You don't have any burdens. You don't have any anxiety. You don't have any pain. You don't have any fear about what's going to happen in the future. And you have no regrets about the past when you're truly resting in love, when you're truly resting in the truth. In timelessness, you rest. So how do you rest in eternity? How do you rest in timelessness? Well, it says, in timelessness you rest while time goes by. without time's touch upon you. Why is it that time goes by without touching you? Time goes by without touching you when you rest in God, because your rest can never change in any way at all. When you truly have achieved the goal of the course, then you always have no concerns, no cares, no burdens, no anxiety, no pain, no fear of future, and no past regrets. Now remember, I'm telling you about the way you're going to be and the way you're going to see things when you actually rest in the truth. I'm not talking about necessarily the way you are right now. Okay, readiness is not mastery. Just because you're ready to become more loving, just because you're ready to rest in God, that doesn't mean that you have achieved that level of consciousness yet. A Course in Miracles workbook lessons, these exercises, the purpose of these exercises is to help you develop the ability to rest in God the way that it's talking about. And it starts with your just being willing to say, I rest in God. You rest today. And as you close your eyes, close your eyes, close your eyes, and sink into stillness, sink into peace. So what are you supposed to let these periods of rest and respite do? What is this period of rest, saying you rest in God, what is it supposed to do? Well, it says right here, let these periods of rest and respite reassure your mind that all your mind's frantic fantasies are but the dreams of fever that are passed away. The Course in Miracles says that when you have these frantic, fearful fantasies and beliefs, that you are just having a fever. And the Course in Miracles says, let your mind be still. Let your mind be still. Let your mind be quiet. And do what? Let your mind thankfully accept its healing. So what heals your mind? What thought heals your mind? What thought heals your mind? What thought heals your mind? I rest in God. I rest in love. I know this thing that's happening right now is something that I could be tempted to really feel afraid about and upset about, but I'm going to tell myself, because the Course in Miracles says no matter what my reactions are, no matter what I think, no matter what I feel, just say the idea. So I'm going to say, I rest in God. And then no more fearful dreams will come. No more frightening dreams will come now that you rest in God. Now that you rest in God. Take time today to slip away. Say what? Take time today to slip away. Slip away. Slip away from dreams into peace. The Course in Miracles calls a reality that it looks like there's so much to be afraid of. The Course in Miracles calls that a dream, because in reality, you rest in God. In reality, your true self, your spirit self, your real self cannot be harmed, cannot be hurt. So no more fearful dreams will come now that you rest in love, now that you rest in the truth. Take time today to slip away. So each hour, and so the Course in Miracles is going to say something so beautiful right now that you may be tempted to tune out because it's so beautiful. Each hour that you take your rest today, each hour that you tell yourself, I rest in God, do you know what's going to happen? The Course in Miracles says, each hour that you take your rest today, a tired mind is suddenly made glad. Each time you take your rest today, a bird with broken wings begins to sing. So when you say, I rest in God, you may not know it, but you're focusing on the truth. You're focusing in on the truth and saying you rest in God. That is a healing thought. And whether you know it or not, an injured bird begins to sing. Somebody with a tired mind is suddenly made glad. Somewhere in the world, a stream that's been dry for a long time begins to flow again when you say you rest in God. Do you know the world is born again each time that you rest? The world is born again each time that you rest and hourly remember. What is it that you're supposed to remember every hour? You're supposed to remember that you came to bring the peace of God into the world. You came to bring the peace of God into the world. So why are you here? You came to bring the peace of love into this world. You came to bring the peace of God into the world, that the world might take its rest along with you. You came to bring the truth into this world. You are the light of the world. You are the truth of the world. Do you want to know why you are really here? You're really here to bring the peace of God into the world. Bring the peace of God into the world. So why do you want to bring the peace of God into the world? So that the world might take its rest. So that the world can rest along with you. With each 5 minutes, you take 5 minutes of every hour when you remember. When you take 5 minutes, the Course in Miracles says, with each 5 minutes that you rest today, the world is nearer to waking. Let yourself just hear what the Course is saying right now. Every time you take 5 minutes that you focus on, I rest in God, the world is closer to waking up to the truth. That means the time when rest will be the only thing there is. It's coming closer to all worn and tired minds because you are doing this with me right now. There are people that are too weary now to go their way alone. And those people who are tired, those people who are weary, they will hear the bird begin to sing and see the stream begin to flow again. With hope reborn, with energy restored, to walk with lightened steps along the road that suddenly seems easy as they go. Just because you are telling yourself you rest in God, the Course in Miracles says you may not know it, but someone right now is experiencing lightened steps. Just because you're willing to practice the truth right now and say, I rest in God. There are some people who suddenly have a road that seems easy as they go. You rest within the peace of God today. You rest within the peace of love today and call upon your brothers, your equals. You call upon your equals from your rest to draw them to their rest along with you. So I'm calling upon you. I'm calling upon you from my resting in God to draw you to your rest along with me. What is it you're supposed to do when you say, I rest in God? When you say, I rest in God, you're being faithful to your trust today. Don't forget anyone. When you say, I rest in God, you are forgetting no one because you're doing what you are being told by the Creator to do. You know, I realize that I pray to God all the time. I pray to the Creator all the time. Help me, teach me, show me. And the Course in Miracles came to me to answer that prayer. But then I still think I'm the one that's supposed to figure everything out rather than realize that the Course in Miracles has it already figured out. It's giving me the instructions of what I need to think and what I need to say to myself. Now, if you are full of suspicion about the Course in Miracles and all you feel is resistance and you're fighting yourself, then you're not ready. You're not ready. According to the Course, don't fight yourself. If your dedication is weak and your resistance is strong, it says in chapter 30, don't fight yourself. Don't fight yourself. You're just not ready right now. It's a difference between knowing that you really want to learn the Course in Miracles, but you know you have some blocks and some resistance that you want to go past, and just being someone that is afraid of it, doesn't want to believe it, and is full of criticism and judgment about it. Well, if that's the way you are, then it's probably not your teaching, because your teaching, your spiritual path should be something that inspires you and motivates you. It shouldn't be something that all you do is doubt it and fight it. And certainly your spiritual path would not be a path that you would give no attention to and no study. So the Course in Miracles says that if you're going to learn something, it requires attention and study. So right now we're being told what to do. It says right here, you will be faithful to your trust today, forgetting no one, bringing everyone into the boundless circle of your peace. And bringing everyone into the boundless circle of your peace, that's the holy sanctuary. If you want to know what the holy sanctuary is, it's the boundless circle of your peace that you're bringing everyone into. That's the holy sanctuary. The holy sanctuary is where you rest. So open the temple doors. Open the temple doors. Open the doors. Open the doors. And let them come from far across the world. Open the doors. Open the temple doors. And let your equals. The Course in Miracles says brother is not a man. When it says brother, it's not talking about a man, a male. It's talking about your equals. We are equals. So wherever you see brothers in the Course in Miracles, you could say equals. And you would say, open the temple doors and let your equals come from far across the world and near as well. Your distant equals and your closest friends, bid them all enter here and rest with you. Ask everyone to rest with you. You rest within the peace of God today. So how do you rest within the peace of God today? Quiet and unafraid. How can you tell when you're resting in the peace of God? You feel quiet and you're unafraid. And everyone, each equal, is going to come to take their rest, and they're going to offer their rest to you. The Course in Miracles is telling us how we're going to experience resting in God. It's, in a sense, it's giving you the goal, the purpose, what you should be working towards, studying towards, so that you can have the experience that it is promising you right now in lesson 109. So it says, when you rest within the peace of God today, you will rest quiet and unafraid. And each person will come to take their rest. And when they come to take their rest, they're going to offer it to you. We rest together. We are resting together. Let's rest together. Let's rest together. We rest together here. We rest together here. We rest together here. That is why I do this Facebook Live. You know, I could just pre-record it and post it at any time, you know, according to my mood. But I make this commitment to be here every week so that I can be in the same time and space continuum with you, consciously sharing with you, and so that we can interact and rest together and love each other and appreciate each other and make this more than just words on a page, because we are committed and dedicated to resting in love and resting in God. We rest together here, for thus our rest is made complete. And what we give today, we've already received. I'm giving you the peace that I've received. I'm giving you the Course in Miracles that I've already received. So that means that time is not the guardian of what we give today. We're going to give. Who are we going to give to? Who are we going to give to? Well, the Course in Miracles says we give to those unborn. We are going to give to those who have not even been born. We're going to give to those passed by. We're going to give to we are going to give to those unborn and those passed by, to every thought of God, and to the mind in which these thoughts were born and where they rest. We are going to remind everyone of their resting place. You don't have to say this out loud to people. you can just think the thought, I rest in God. And you will be reminding others of their resting place each time you tell yourself. Isn't that interesting? The Course in Miracles says we remind them of their resting place each time we tell ourselves, I rest in God. I rest in God. Okay, I'm going to do a quick little recap and a special closing. I want to thank you for tuning in and watching my Facebook Lives. I'm a full-time teacher. I want to thank you, those of you who feel called upon to give a love offering, a financial expression of appreciation to support my teaching ministry. I thank you so much for that. And if you'd like to make a financial expression of appreciation, go to my website, www.earlpurdy.com, P-U-R-D-Y. You can also use Venmo, the Cash App, or PayPal. My email address is earlpurdy@earlpurdy.com. I'm available for mentoring, coaching, advising, using my 40 years of experience working with the Course in Miracles. And I'll show you how to apply what the Course in Miracles teaches to any situation that you're dealing with right now. I call what I do clarity sessions. Go to my website, earlpurdy.com, and it will explain to you everything about my clarity sessions. Look under the clarity session tab, and you can self-book an appointment with me right from our website. Sundays at 1 p.m. Mountain Time on the Earl Purdy page on Facebook. I do another Facebook Live, A Course in Miracles, 1 p.m. Mountain Time on Sunday. And Hardcore Course in Miracles with you, which I'm so glad to do with you, that's every Thursday at 7 p.m. on the Earl Purdy page, Mountain Standard Time. So let's take a minute to really work this idea. Let's make this idea, I rest in God. I rest in God. I rest in God. I rest in God. So if I'm not resting, I'm not seeing myself in God. If I don't feel peace right now, I'm just not seeing myself in God. But that doesn't mean that I'm not in God. So here we go. I rest in God. Let's say it. I rest in God. 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 You rest in God. You rest in God. You rest in God. I rest in God. You rest in God. I rest in God. We rest in God. I rest in God. You rest in God. We rest in God. Let's say it now. I rest in God. You rest in God. We rest in God. So let's go to the islands, man. Let's go to islands, man. Let's go to the islands, man. I rest in God. I rest in God. I rest in God. Here we go. I rest in God. You rest in God. We rest in God. I rest in God. You rest in God. We rest in God. I rest in God. You rest in God. We rest in God. I rest in truth. You rest in truth. We rest in truth. I rest in truth. You rest in truth. We rest in truth. I rest in truth. You rest in truth. We rest in truth. I rest in love. You rest in love. We rest in love. I rest in love. You rest in love. We rest in love. I rest in love. You rest in love. We rest in love. Let's say it, you all. We rest in God. 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 Say it for yourself. I rest in God. I rest in God. I rest in God. Mighty companions, woo! It's so good to be with you. I love you. I appreciate you. I love you. I look at your comments. I read your comments. Listen to this at least 4 times. Watch this at least 4 times. And if you're feeling afraid, if you're feeling strife, concerns, worries, then listen to this video. Watch this video. Go to the truth when you're upset. You need to go to the truth when you're most upset. And if you don't remember it, you're not learning it. So it's about remembering, and that happens through repetition. Remembering, that happens through repetition. Study the course. Commit yourself that you're going to give the Course in Miracles attention and study. You will be so glad, because you will start to see miracles happen in your life. I promise you, you will start to experience miracles beyond your wildest imagination. Mighty companion, may the Course be with you. Thank you, Lynn. I love you. I appreciate you, all of you. But it's all of you. Rest now. May the Course be with you.